So I want to address bullying today. Well, specifically speaking out against bullying. I am in no way whatsoever attempting to compare myself to Meghan Markle, but it sparked a really interesting debate, I think, a really interesting conversation, because Meghan Markle's right of reply has gone down like a lead balloon with some people. And I really want to respond to that, because it just feels so hugely unfair. So Meghan Markle, we don't know her. She seems like a nice person to me. She might not be. I think all of that, it's completely irrelevant. She has been bullied publicly, relentlessly, shamelessly. It's all out there. The evidence is all there. We can see it. She has been bullied by the media and not protected by the firm, as we are now calling it. And when she has spoken out about what's happened, she has been accused of courting the press, or vying for attention or drama, or lying, or, you know, and when she talks about how the bullying has made her feel, and again, you know, with Meghan Markle, she talks about mental health problems. I mean, we know for a fact, I've been working with Action on Postpartum Psychosis, and through them and other organisations that we work with, I've recently learned that suicide is one of the biggest causes of death in new mothers in the postnatal period. So when Meghan talks about feeling suicidal, having given birth, having been ruthlessly, relentlessly bullied publicly, feeling completely out of control, feeling that she can't access support. And let's remember, as much love as we have in the world, you know, whether we have a loving husband or family or friends, actually sometimes we need professional support, sometimes we need therapy, medicine, you name it, we need it sometimes. That's why they exist, after all. So I just think that argument about why didn't she turn to a family, is it because she falls out with them, is just nonsense. But anyway, she spoke out and she got a load of grief for it. And as somebody who still feels a little bit of shame, because even though I've spoken out about bullying, I think that we need to do more to encourage bullying to be exposed, victims of bullying to have the right of reply, and we need to discourage condoning it, and we need to point out when we are condoning bullying, because in my view, if we are saying that a woman cannot speak out about her experience of bullying, we are condoning what has happened to her, because there is no denying what has happened to her, because it's in the headlines, it's in print, it's there, it's online, we've all got access to it, we can see it with our own eyes, there is no doubting it. But I've had this experience because I've challenged bullying, and certainly on the second time that it happened to me, I could see it happening. I got counselling. I spoke with HR. I could see I was being gaslighted. I had been off sick with quite extreme anxiety for several weeks. When I came back, I had what can only be described as a performance review, when a return to work should have been more about helping me. There's so much more. There is so much more. I felt, you know, I would go into the office, I would be in tears, and I would just be told, you're a sloppy writer, you're a bad manager, you dropped your team in it, people left because of you, you're not as good at your job as you think you are, I can prove it, we can ask. So, you know, it was just horrific. All the while I'm sitting there in tears, and I felt completely and utterly powerless, because I needed to pay the bills, I needed to pay the mortgage. Like,
the power dynamic, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do. So eventually I put in a formal complaint. Now, bearing in mind, this is at people at the very top of an organisation. So I kind of knew how it was going to go when I did it. And I knew it wasn't going to go in my favour. But at that point, it had already been mooted that perhaps I might want to leave. So I knew where all this was going. So I put in a formal complaint. I threw everything I had at it, loads of evidence. And they, you know, at every stage they offered me a little bit of compensation if I kind of, you know, went away quietly. And when I said no, because at the end of the day, if I left with that, I could have lost my house. I could have lost so much, because, you know, my salary was being taken away, my livelihood was being taken away, and, you know, a couple of months of salary is not gonna assure my future. And why should? Because I've been bullied, why should I have been put in that situation? So I said no. And then, of course, when I say no to that, they say, well, that's it, nothing else, you will get nothing else, we'll have to go through the whole stressful process. Basically, people tried to put you off. Anyway, I pushed and pushed and pushed, because I had to, for me, for my mental health, for my livelihood, for my family, I had to do it. And let me just say, when you walk away with a settlement from an organisation because of bullying, that isn't about getting a nice little financial gift. It isn't. It is compensation in its truest sense for what has happened to you and what it's left you with. No job, unemployment. But still today, I feel like I've got a dirty secret. Because I signed a set. I can't say who it was who bullied me, where it was, when it was. I can't say any of those things. And of course, when you then go to apply for another job, there are lots of questions hanging over you, and you're tied because you've signed an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. So you're a bit stuffed, really, and you carry all this shame, and you wonder, you know, what were your colleagues told about you leaving? What do they think? Do they think you're a trouble causer? Do they think you're, you know, oh, well, you've got an anxiety disorder, you're probably just paranoid, you know? Has the gaslighting continued in your absence? It's absolutely horrible. So I want to use this opportunity to say that I think we really, really need to empower victims of bullying to speak out. And I think the only way we can do this is with wholesale change. I think the system is very wrong. If you have bullying from the top down within an organisation and you challenge that, it's very, very difficult for you to have success in that challenge, because, well, HR team work for the person or people who are high up in the organisation. So my view is that we need to completely change how this happens, and then more people, more victims of bullying will be able to have their say out in the open and protect their jobs. So I don't believe that bullying should be handled within the organisation. I believe that when a complaint is put forward and it is against somebody of a certain level, and I would say anyone of any influence, so senior management, I truly believe that this should be handled by an external investigator. I think there are ways in which we can come together to pool resources to make this happen, whether that be, you know, different organisations sharing their investigative resources and kind of loaning them out, if you like. I think it should be handled by ACAS. I just think it can't go on. It can't go on the way it is, because there are too many of us signing NDAs whose voices are not silent. I'm speaking about my experience, but where there is no consequence. There is no consequence for the people who have bullied us, because
we've accepted a settlement and we've had to keep quiet. You might ask, why accept a settlement if you want to speak out? Well, when you are already feeling mentally unwell, when you've already got other family problems, when you know you need to protect your house and your home, are you going to push it and push it and push it and push it and risk it even more and risk your health and risk your stability? It's all wrong. So I just think, while my situation is completely different to Meghan Markle's, obviously, I think that the way the public have responded to her right of reply is absolutely awful. And I think we need to stop and think about whether you like somebody or not. It doesn't matter. If somebody has been bullied, they deserve a right of reply. If things are being said about them, they deserve to be able to tell their story. And when these things are being investigated, we need a whole new way of doing it. And I just hope that we can come up with a solution to make this happen, so that we aren't all silenced forevermore, and so that there are consequences, and the people who are responsible for bullying time and time again, they're the ones that have to deal with the consequences, not us. I'd love to hear thoughts on other ways of doing this, of challenging it, but it has to change, because things are not working the way they currently are.